Hello, Major League Fantasy Baseball 2 owners. We are this close to actually getting the season started off after just a long wait and a lot of work and everything else. I'm so happy that we're finally to that moment to where we can actually get things going. I wanted to do a quick video. Just, I'm not going to do a really long video here. Just some quick pointers, maybe on how to attack the draft in regards to how the model is built up and the basic premise and idea behind it. Because what you don't want to do is be overreaching for players or going too heavy in one direction or the other. Because in our leagues, it's both of the formats, whether it's the points league or the category league, you want to have a well-rounded, well-balanced team. So to start with, obviously with the offense that we have set up in the category league, obviously this video is just for Major League Fantasy Baseball too. So the categories being stretched out the way they are, runs, singles, doubles, home runs, RBIs, stolen bases, runs scored, OPS, batting average, that kind of thing. There's a lot of areas that you need to cover. So really what that does is it makes you have to put together a full team. So you're going to need your leadoff hitter, that can swipe you 20, 30, 40 bags, get you 120 singles, 110 singles. Just like you would on a real team, you want somebody to be able to get on base frequently. You want a guy like Pedroia or prototypical number 2 guy that moves over the leadoff guy. And then you need your meat of the order. What you want to avoid doing is going too heavy in one direction or the other. What you don't want to do is, say for instance, say I'm going to go after a bunch of home run hitters because you're going to kill yourself in a number of those categories. You're actually going to end up surrendering a good amount of them. More than likely that's going to be batting average, stolen bases, singles. Some home run hitters put up a good amount of doubles, but it's usually between runs and doubles you're going to give up one of those two. So you'd be splitting the difference on essentially in the area of hitting, which you don't want to do. You want to have like a well-rounded approach, so you have that ability to compete every week in the majority of the categories. I'm sure. Now pitching is a whole other animal. What I want to really stress to you guys before you actually go into draft and how you're ranking your players, because you have less than 24 hours, or it's about 6 o'clock my time now, so we have a little over 24 hours until the draft tomorrow night. First and foremost, you want to stress starting pitching. So starting pitching should be your first order of business. You shouldn't look at drafting any closers or middle relief guys until I would say the earliest for, like, say maybe a Kimbrel or a Chapman. The earliest I would go after those guys would be 11th or 12th round. Those first 10 rounds, you want to build a solid core up in regards to your everyday players, and hopefully you can blend in a couple of really good starting pitchers there too. And then the rest of the draft, obviously you're filling holes and adding value and doing these kinds of things, which I'm certain with the kind of people we brought in, I may be preaching to the choir, but I figured it would be a better service to the new owners if I at least elaborated exactly what would be effective. Hopefully all of you guys have been utilizing the tool, the edit your player rankings to on your team page, as well as edit your draft strategy. If something happens and your computer goes down, or your power goes out, or your computer freezes, or whatever, so you get called into work at the last minute and some stupid happens, or emergency or whatever, you'll have that list and it will draft the guys that you want to draft as opposed to going person by person. I expect everybody to be there. I've talked to the majority of the people, and everybody's going to be at the draft, which is a requirement. But then again, we all live, private lives with jobs and families and all these other things, so unexpected things come up. So if you are one of those people and that might happen, then make for sure that you have a good, healthy list of guys ranked. And you're going to see throughout the season how this is going to play out. Is whoever has that most well-rounded team are going to be the guys that aren't fishing around on the wire for players. They're essentially, when they're using their waiver wire moves, it's to replace an injured guy, temporarily, or to do a spot start. If you do end up having a bad draft, you miss on some picks, or you got some guys unluckily that get injured. Excuse me, guys, sorry about that. Or you just wind up, just getting unlucky, and going into the season, you'll have the opportunity to fish around for some of those speculative picks because the better teams are not going to be looking for them. So that'll help spread the league out in regards to parity. and looking at players, a really good tool for you guys maybe to use before you go into the draft is there's a link for Major League Fantasy Baseball 1 on the home page, just above the embedded YouTube channel. Click on that, go over to the Players tab in that league, and you can go to the Player Rater. The Player Rater is the best way to value or figure out the total value of the player in our formula, the Player Rater. It's right along the top underneath the black tabs once you get over into the Players section. And that will show you a breakdown of 2012, who rated where based on their statistics. That will give you a really good idea of who's going to add the most value, to your team. I believe you should be able to look at the draft from last year in League One as well. What you don't want to, it's real easy when you're at the top of the page. You can just click to year 2012 and then go to Draft Recap, which is all right along the top. Don't pay attention too much to the first 4 rounds because those are keeper rounds, so the guys were not picked in the order that you see them. But rounds 5 through 26 would be a good way for you to get an idea of the type of players that you might want to be looking at or who may be available at that point during the drafts. Other things that, obviously in regards to rules and how things work and, having a legal lineup and, that kind of thing. Again, the legal lineup thing is you can't have any injured guys in your lineup. You can't have any guys that are not in the major leagues in your lineup. They have to be on active major league rosters, and they can't be disabled. Make sure that you have that in order. Remember, you have your minimum of 50 innings pitched a week. You got to hit that every week before any of your pitching. The 3 ratio statistics, you won't have a chance to compete in those if you don't have 50 innings pitched. So you're essentially throwing away 3 categories. I think besides that, that's about it. I think most of you guys have probably, or at least hopefully, have done your homework in regards to what you're going to do in the draft and how you're going to attack this thing. Remember, you're starting fresh. So the best thing to do with those first couple of picks is just grab guys that are going to produce for you for several years, or maybe somebody that's just going to be a stud this year and allow you to win this year. Just those are your no-brainer picks. Don't overreach too early in the draft because you'll end up hurting yourself a little bit later. One of the reasons I did decide not to do the draft pick trading for either League 2 or 3 is a couple of things. The most important thing, the only thing I'm going to touch on, the first thing is the only people in here that understand how this model works and how to truly value these players, based on draft picks and stuff like that, are the guys that have already played in it, like in League 2, for instance, in your league. There's, let's see, myself, there's John Sirota, Mark Foster. I think it's just us 3, actually. So you've got, 3 guys in the league that know how to value these players, and I guess it would give us a competitive advantage in making any sort of trades with you, because you may not understand exactly how much the picks you're trading are really worth in our formula. So I wrestled with it. I wanted to do it, because I love having the freedom to do so, but I decided against it. I figured after everybody, all the new guys get a good first year playing in the system, going into next season, obviously it's going to be there. You'll be able to trade players and draft picks and all that stuff. You'll have a better understanding, in how to value, your draft picks, your players, etc., etc. So I look at it kind of like a fiduciary responsibility, like I do with my clients. Looking out for your best interests. If there are any questions in the meantime, between now, it's about 6:30 my time, close to 6:30 when I'm East Coast time when I'm uploading this video. If you have any questions, my phone number. Please feel free to contact me, and just let me know what's on your mind. If you want to, we actually have a guy sitting in on one of the drafts tonight with one of the owners from League 1. If one of you guys can get to me within the next couple of hours, I might be able to maybe able to sit in with another guy. But anyway, good luck to everybody tomorrow night in the draft. I'm looking forward to it. If there's any questions, you know where to get me.